Hi, my name is Michi Diller. I'm an audiologist at Town NRH Research Hospital, and I'm here today to talk with you about troubleshooting hearing aids. If you have a behind-the-ear hearing aid with a custom ear mold and it doesn't seem to be functioning properly, the first thing you'll want to do is replace the battery. So you just remove the battery, put in a new one, like this. And if it still isn't functioning properly, you can get your cleaning tool and use the little end that has a wire loop to clean open the two holes at the end of the ear mold. So the sound is traveling down this tube and through the hole. And if there's wax in the end of that hole, that will prevent the sound from escaping the hearing aid. So you just want to pick those holes and be sure that there is no debris in there. And if it's still not working, you can actually disconnect the tube or the ear mold from the hearing aid and cup this in your hand. If it's squealing, that means the hearing aid is working, but there's something wrong with the ear mold. If it's not squealing, that means there may be something wrong with the hearing aid, and you'd want to contact your hearing aid. Has a little wire down the front. This part sits on top of your ear, and the little dome goes down into your ear canal. This part right here is an ear grip, and it just sits in the bowl of your ear and is there for retention to keep the dome in your ear canal. So when putting the hearing aid in, you first want to identify if it's the right or the left hearing aid. This one is the right hearing aid because it has a red square on it. Red, right. The two R's go together. If it was for my left ear, it would have a blue square on it. And reach up, put this right on top of my ear, like this. So it sits right on top of my ear. The dome goes down into the ear canal. Just kind of push it down into the ear canal. And then that little ear grip just gets flipped back in the bowl of my ear. And then I just make sure that everything is tucked into place and that wire is running right along the front of my ear and the ear grip is down in the bowl of my ear. And when it's time to take the hearing aid off, you can just reach up, grab it from the top and pull it out. When you take it off your ear, just be sure to remember to open up the battery door, and that will turn the hearing aid off. And battery always has a yellow tab, and it's the smallest battery. It lasts 4 to 7 days. A size 312 has a brown tab on it, and they last 7 to 10 days. A size 13 battery will always have an orange tab on it, and those last about 10 to 14 days. And the 675 battery is the biggest battery, and it always has a blue tab, and it also lasts about 10 to 14 days. When it's time to change the battery, you'll hear some sort of indicator tone from the hearing aid letting you know that the battery is getting low. So then you'll just locate the battery compartment in your hearing aid and swing it open. And then we'll push out the old battery and grab a new one. You'll peel the tab off and just try and let it sit there for about a minute or so that the oxygen can be absorbed into the battery. The oxygen is what activates the battery. So after about a minute, you can grab the battery, and in this case I'm using a little magnetic stick to help grab the battery, and just put it in the battery door with the flat side up, the positive side up. The negative side of the battery has a little bump. So you put it in with the flat side up, just like this, and then close the battery door. For in-the-ear hearing aids, the battery door may look a little different, but you just locate that and swing it open, and then remove the old battery. Grab a new battery. In this case, it's a size 10. And again, you'll want to just let the battery sit for about a minute or so that the oxygen can be absorbed into the battery, and the oxygen activates the battery. And then you just pop the new battery into the battery door with the flat side up, and then close the battery door. When selecting batteries, try to select batteries that are 1.45 volts instead of 1.4 volts. That will just help to reduce the likelihood that you'll hear a false low battery warning. So the voltage isn't always obvious on the card of batteries. Sometimes it's on the front, sometimes it's on the back, but you just want to look for 1.45 volts. Hearing aid batteries are zinc air batteries, and when you're finished using them, they can either be the battery. So I'll open up the battery door and put a new battery in. And if it still isn't functioning properly, go ahead and replace the little wax trap, the little white bucket that's on the end of the hearing aid. And to do that, you would just grab a new stick. One end is the end that you use to remove the one that you think may be dirty, and the other end has a replacement wax trap. So you just poke the stick in like that, pull it out, turn it around, and then pop in the new one. If the hearing aid still isn't functioning properly after you've taken those two steps, be sure to contact the receiver in the ear hearing aid, which is the style of hearing aid that sits on the back or the top of your ear and has a little wire that runs down the front. These are the steps that you'll take if the hearing aid doesn't sound like it usually does. The first thing you'll want to do is check and make sure that you have a good battery in there. So you'll change the battery, put in a new battery. The next thing you want to do is replace the dome and the wax trap that's behind the dome. In this case, it's a click dome, so you want to sort of get your nail behind the dome and just flick it off like that. The wax trap is the little white ring that was behind the dome, and that is there as sort of a second line of defense to prevent wax from getting into the receiver. To replace that, just twist it in and pull it out, turn the stick around, and insert a new one. And then this just gets tossed in the garbage. Then put the new dome, you snap it on the end, just like that. And this is another receiver in the ear hearing aid. The first thing you want to do is replace the battery. So we'll take out the old battery and put in a new one. And if the hearing aid still seems like it's not working properly, the next thing you want to do is pull the dome off the end, just like this, and replace the wax trap behind the dome. To remove the wax trap that we think might have wax, you just take the stick, and one end is used to remove the one that we think is dirty, and the other end of the stick has a replacement wax trap. And you just push it in, push the stick in, and pull out the dirty wax trap. Turn the stick around and insert the new one. And then this can be tossed into the garbage. And then you get a new dome. And the new dome just slides on to the receiver, like this. The amount of times that you have to replace the domes or the wax trap or really troubleshoot the hearing aids varies depending on the amount of wax that your ears produce or the amount of debris that can get into the hearing aids. If you spend a lot of time outside, dirt and other environmental elements can affect the hearing. The push button on the back is programmed to function as a volume control. So this person has two hearing aids, and the way these program buttons work, if you push the button on the right side, on the right hearing aid, it will increase the volume on both sides. If you push the button on the left hearing aid, it will decrease the volume on both sides. When you've successfully pressed the button, you'll hear an audible beep. in the hearing aids, and that's how you know you've made a change with the volume control. If the hearing aid has one push button on it and it's programmed to function as a program button, consult your audiologist as to how those controls are set, because it can vary from hearing aid to hearing aid. This hearing aid has what we call a rocker switch, and it can be programmed to function in multiple ways. So if it's used as a volume control, the user just does a short press down to decrease the volume, or a short press up to increase the volume. So if someone makes a volume control change to one side, those changes will automatically apply to the other ear. You don't have to adjust both ears. If the hearing aid is programmed to also have different programming functions in it, for example, a program for tinnitus, that can also be accessed using the rocker switch. And to do that, you would just do a long press, about 2 seconds, to access that second program or third program. Or you can do a long press on the top. Be sure to consult with your audiologist if you do have multiple programs in your hearing aid, so he or she can tell you exactly how your controls function. If your hearing aid has 2 different controls on the back, one is the program button and one is the volume control. In this case, the person can access the different programs by just pressing the round button at the top. If the person would like to adjust the volume, use the rocker switch here. And to decrease the volume, you just do a short press on the bottom of the rocker switch. And to increase the volume, you just do a short press on the top of the rocker switch. If you have adjusted the volume and you're not exactly sure where you're at, or you're not sure which program you're on, you can always just open the battery door and close it again, and that will reset it to the way that you and your audiologist. For more information on Boys Town Audiology, go to boystownhospital.org.